What is going on, awesome peeps? Brent McCluskey here with Electrified Reviews, and today's video is sponsored by Revi bikes because instead of a review, we are doing a 500-mile update on the Cheetah right here. Now, the truth of the matter is, it's not very often that we can do these kind of videos just because of the sheer amount of time it takes to put this many miles on a frame. But we have been using this vehicle as my primary ride for the last 4 months. So we're gonna talk about some of the pros and cons that I've learned and some of the favorite things I like about it, some of my biggest dislikes, and basically just fill you in on what has happened after 500 miles. If you want a full breakdown of the specs and components of the Cheetah, we will leave a link in the description to the main review so you can check that out there. One of the first things I want to talk about with the Cheetah here is how it rides. So with this extra stretched wheelbase and the battery high in the top tube, it really takes some effort to lean this bike over. And after 500 miles, I've really come to love this Harley style feel of this bike. If you guys have ridden a Harley before or just a regular motorcycle, it feels a lot like that, but a pared down version. It's not quite as heavy, so it's not quite as hard to lean over, but you really feel that resistance when leaning in the turns. And honestly, it is just so much fun to ride. However, on the other hand, this does not have any front suspension. It's solid front forks, and the truth of the matter is that when you take this off-road, it feels like a personal assault on my teeth. Every little bump is so chattery and so rattly. So the first thing I would want to update or upgrade on the Cheetah is let's throw some front suspension on this thing. It would really smooth out the ride because even with the fat tires, it's just kind of a stiff ride. Now, I will say that the spring suspension on the saddle does make a really big difference when you're in the saddle. And one thing that might be kind of cool to add to this is an actual seat post suspension to really give you a nice cush ride. As you guys know, we love the Bafang motors here at Electrified Reviews, and this one is no exception. It's a 750 watt motor, and it was able to conquer every hill that we have thrown at it in this 500-mile test ride. Look, when it gets to super steep hills, yes, of course, I do have to pedal, but really this motor is powerful enough to run it just like a moped and just use a throttle only for like 95% of the ride. So one thing that was particularly impressive about this motor is last summer, we had a lot of like 115-degree days, and it was just blisteringly hot. And when you're on the pavement, that heat is even more. It's like 120, 125. And I was expecting some overheating with the motor, but again, even with all that throttle only use, there was not any overheating with the motor or the battery. So really impressive stuff there. So my issue with the motor is that out of the box, there is huge latency from the time that I grip the throttle and twist it from the time the motor actually activates. And that lag is not something that I really like. I want it to be that when I hit the throttle, the motor activates immediately and I start to feel the acceleration. So I talked to Revi bikes about this, and they've actually got this setting out of the factory purposefully because they do this to minimize the draw on the battery and help to increase the range. But there is a way to change this in the back ends of the settings so that you get that instant motor start as soon as you hit the throttle. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So in order to do this, you need to go to the settings, advanced settings, and then navigate to page 2. Once you're there, you can select slow start and change that from 3 to 1. And this is the shortest latency available, and it makes a huge difference. Once I changed this setting, I went from loving the Cheetah to being in love with the Cheetah. Seriously, it totally changes the ride for the better. So let's talk about range with the Cheetah. So for me, when I get up in the morning, I go for an hour walk, and that's what I consider to be my workout for the day. So when I ride the Cheetah at night, which is my favorite time to ride it because there's nobody out, the roads are all yours, but when I ride the Cheetah at night, I typically use throttle only, and of course that seriously eats into the range. But when I'm using throttle only, I can hit about 29 miles per hour at full charge. And then as soon as it dips around 90% battery capacity, it's about 28 miles per hour. And then when it gets to around 25% battery capacity, the max range drops to about 25 to 26 miles per hour, which is still pretty good. So when I'm using the throttle only and clipping around at top speed, I can typically get between 15 to 20 miles on average per charge, which is not the highest, for range, but it's not too bad considering I'm only using the throttle. Now, if I want to squeeze every last electron out of the battery or just extend my range a little bit, what I've been doing is dropping the pedal assist mode into 3 and changing the power setting to power mode. So that gives me a lot of power from the motor, but at pedal assist level 3, that's about 20 miles per hour with the cadence sensor, so I can still pedal in top gear, contribute a little bit of my human power, and extend my range to around 40 miles, which is quite a bit. And at the end of the day, I'm still not really even breaking a sweat. Now, the downside here is that I can't really pedal faster than 20 miles per hour. The gearing on the Cheetah just isn't high enough for that. And this is another one of the things I would really like to see changed, or at least have the option to have an upgrade for a wider spread for the gearing. Because right now we've got 1 through 7 gears here. It would be nice if we had maybe 9 gears so that we could hit that 28 mile per hour top speed while also contributing some pedal power to help extend that range even further while still feeling the wind in my hair. Another setting I ended up changing is something called throttle follow. So out of the box, when the Cheetah gets delivered, the throttle follow is on. And what that setting means is that if you're in pedal assist level 1 and you try to hit the throttle, you're not going to get any more power than is available in pedal assist level 1. Same thing with pedal assist level 2, 3, 4, 5. Basically, the throttle power corresponds to the pedal assist level. And again, this is something that maybe it preserves the battery, but for me, I just don't prefer that setting. So thankfully, this is something that you can change again in the back end of the settings, and I'm gonna show you how to do that right now. So here's how to change it so you can rip the throttle and get the max power from the motor irregardless of what pedal assist level you're in. So you're going to go to Settings, Advanced Settings, and select Throttle Follow. Change that from yes to no, and now you're free to keep it in whatever pedal assist setting that you want while still having full access to all the power the motor can give. And again, this was another one of those small changes that really made a big difference in my ride experience. So when I boot the Cheetah up and turn it on, it reverts back to its factory settings, which again is not something that I really prefer. So if I have the Cheetah in pedal assist level 5 and in power mode, and I turn it off, when I turn it back on, I would like it to stay in that pedal assist level 5 and in power mode. Unfortunately, there is no settings right now that can be changed in the back end to adjust that, but hopefully this will be something that Revi bikes might change in a future firmware update. I guess we'll see. Another thing I would like to see changed for the settings is resetting the tripometer. I use the tripometer all the time, almost every ride, because I like to clock how far I'm going and kind of measure my distances and keep track of all that. But right now, if I want to reset the tripometer, it's kind of a hassle, and I'm going to show you what you have to do in order to make that happen. Okay, so you have to go into Settings again, go to Clear Trip, then you have to change from no to yes. Again, look, this isn't a deal breaker, but this really is something that should be much easier to accomplish. I've found the braking on the Cheetah to be top notch all the way through. Although I will say after 500 miles, there is a little bit of sponginess developing in the front brake, but look, that's just kind of the name of the game when it comes to hydraulic brakes. They require a little bit of adjustment over time. Sometimes you have to bleed the lines a little bit, add some more oil, and that just comes with the territory. But still, after 500 miles, the brakes are going strong, and there appears to be quite a bit of pads left, so a lot of life left in the brakes. The tires on the Cheetah have also held up really well after 500 miles of use. There's not a lot of wear on the tread, and I'm guessing you could probably get at least another 500 miles out of these tires, maybe even more. But we did get a massive flat from a very sharp, seemingly very angry stick with a chip on its shoulder, but there's just nothing you can do to avoid that. That just happens sometimes. Although, after we did get a flat, I ended up putting some of the green goo in there just to help reduce the chance of flats from like goat heads and other small stuff. And that's something I would recommend everybody does, just because changing flats on the road is just a pain. All right, let's talk about lighting on the Cheetah. The truth of the matter is, the headlight here is actually pretty bright and it looks really beautiful. However, the beam pattern on the headlight from the Cheetah that we received isn't so great. It's basically split into two main spotlights, and there's a big separation in distance where one of the spotlights is really high and the other one is really low. So if I angle the main spotlight to be about 100 feet in front of me, that top spotlight is going to be illuminating the trees or almost the skyline. So doesn't really work that well. And then if I try to angle the headlight lower so that both of the spots are actually on the road, the primary spotlight ends up being right in front of me and I get whitewashed and it just isn't very effective. So definitely something that I would love to see improved on a future version. And I think it would be pretty easy to do. They just need to be better calibrated so that those two spots are joined together to be one nice, tight, bright spot. It also would be nice if there was some extra spill on this light, but there isn't really right now. So what I've been doing when I ride at night is using an aftermarket headlight that I put on the handlebars. It's got about 2,000 lumens, tons of light to put on the trail, really nice spread pattern, really nice beam in the middle. And honestly, again, one of those things that I would really recommend that everybody gets an aftermarket headlight if you plan on riding at night, especially on lonely trails that are dimly lit. Overall, after 500 miles and 4 months of use, I am more in love with the Cheetah today than when I first got it. And if Revi bikes were to incorporate the changes that I'm mentioning in this 500 mile update video, I could honestly say with a clear conscience that this would be an absolutely perfect ride and something that I would use as my daily commuter for the very, very long foreseeable future. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching this 500 mile update video. I hope you are having a fantastic day wherever you're at. And if you did like this video, you might be interested to know that we are going to be releasing the review on the Revi Bikes Cheetah Mini and the Revi Bikes Oasis here in the next couple of weeks, so stick around for that. Thank you again, my amazing e-bike friends. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until next time, peace.